So last year, I was able to take my crypto portfolio from $3,000 at the beginning of the year to over $60,000 in December of 2024. So with this in mind, I know the ropes to a certain extent within the markets. Therefore, I thought it'd be cool to do a video where I go over what I would do in certain scenarios where I have different allocations of portfolios. So again, none of this is financial advice. This is just what I would do with a $1,000 portfolio versus a $100,000 portfolio if I was just getting started within the markets. All right, so let's first start off with an $1,000 portfolio, something that I kind of started with when I was first getting into crypto. And here's exactly what I would do with that. The first thing I would do is get access to a private community where people are into coins early and can give alpha calls that I can then put the rest of that $800 into. Of course, my notable recommendation is going to be Kaizen. It's linked in the description below. It's what made me the most amount of money. Brian Jung himself is just a great guy whatsoever. But I would look for not only that, but for other groups that provide value into calls that aren't scams, don't fall into any scams. But I myself would look to get into an area where I can learn from those who have had years of experience within the markets, and places where I can get access to calls where I can turn the rest of that $800 or however much it is into a lot more money. Now, just understand, if you're getting into crypto blindly, and even if you are in a group, you're not going to know when or how to take profits. So your first $1,000 most likely is either going to be lost, or you're going to end up with at least some percentage of that lost through hard-learned lessons. So keep that in mind. This is why it's important to have an income stream coming in so you can support crypto and actually be able to fund and stay within the markets. But anyways, once I have access to that program or whoever it is that I'm getting access to calls from, I'd start to learn those calls myself, but I'd also go ahead and start putting that money towards projects that they see to be worth investing into. And just so you guys know, you actually don't have to pay for a membership. More so, I would just first look into an area where I can get access to information from those who are credible that I can then access and invest money into. For example, I've called free calls on this channel with Ski at 3 cents. I've called a lot of things that people could have just listened to and watched for free. But moreover, it's really hard to just give advice towards exactly where to look for information besides those who you just can deem to be credible for that. But me, myself, my whole theme is to be credible. My whole theme is to be transparent. So I, of course, always go over what I'm doing with my own portfolio. But let's say I did not have any access to any calls or anything of that nature. Here's what I do with $1,000 in more broad terms. Now, again, remember, I don't want to enter crypto with $1,000 and never invest anymore. If you want to be in crypto, you're going to have to play the long game and start allocating money towards crypto. At least that's what I would do. But that initial $1,000, in order to make the most out of that, in my opinion, what I would do just for you guys, $1,000 is really not that much to get started with. Now, what that means is, if you are investing $1,000 and you're not concerned if you would lose that $1,000, which is how you should approach crypto, then what I would do is I would go ahead and do an aggressive approach towards risk. I would aggressively look to put this $1,000 into lower cap coins. Now, for example, with that specific $1,000, the first thing I would do is I would take $200 of that and put it into Bitcoin. My mythology behind this is because Bitcoin realistically is the only true crypto. Therefore, this is a currency that I see nonetheless continuing to at least be a good unit of exchange, store of value. A lot of pros with actually holding Bitcoin. Therefore, the first thing I would do is at least set aside a fifth of that into Bitcoin, and then we can be more aggressive with the remaining $800. So at this time, I'd have Coinbase wallet set up. I've had Phantom wallet set up, an exchange where I can actually bring money into, of course, that being Coinbase or Kraken. And what I would do with the remaining $800 is I'd look into a meme coin that has a very strong community. And I'd also look into strong DeFi projects that also have a good, strong community. Now, again, Base being very prominent and not actually seeing an alt season yet, I would look towards Base coins, as that's what exactly I would do. And I would go ahead and put, again, with risking $1,000, I'd put the majority of money into a meme coin and the remaining money into a high utility coin. Again, we're trying to be risky here and actually utilize this $1,000 to our best advantage possible. Now, we're not going to do that necessarily with $10,000 or $100,000. At least that's not I would do, especially if that's the majority of your net worth. All right, so first of all, that $500 I take. So now we're remaining $300. We've used up $700. That $500 I would take in my coin of choice is, of course, going to be Ski Mask Dog. I'm looking for a 5 to 10x on this coin, meaning that $500 could go anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000, which is where we could see if you invest at this time of this video. Now, again, not financial advice, but that's exactly what I would do. Now, the next thing with the remainder $300, I would put that into Aerodrome Finance. This is another coin on Base, but this is basically the DeFi coin on Base. Outmatches Uniswap in a bunch of different metrics. I could go on and on about it, but I would put that money there and look for a measly 2, 5, or maybe even a 7x from this token. And I say measly because in the world of crypto, that really isn't too much to be hyped about. But again, with normal investing, that's fantastic. Therefore, at the top of this alt season, if we do see one come in, I would like to have had this $1,000 portfolio to at least be in that $5,000 to $10,000 range, maybe even just a little less than $5,000. But nonetheless, if you're just approaching this cycle with $1,000, then you can at least get some experience in, which is by far the biggest thing to gain from just getting into crypto. But yeah, that $1,000 portfolio, we could definitely turn into 3 to 10 grand in a pretty short amount of time, in a couple of months, 2-3 months. And again, if you had access to calls where maybe you get a 10x, that would definitely speed up your process. But that's what I would do with this $1,000 if I could just start right now. Now, you could do research on your own and find coins that match your specific style. But again, we're going over a risky attitude here. What I would do, not what I'm suggesting you. All right, now with $10,000, my approach would kind of be the same, and this would even be more justifiable to actually get a paid membership for a group there, because simply put, with 10 grand, what's $200 a month going to be? Really not that much, and the value you get from that is going to heavily outweigh what the cost is, in my personal opinion. But again, if you're not going to do that, then we can get into specific coins that I would invest into right now with this money. I do feel Solana has kind of topped throughout this market just because of all of the pumped up fun coins, a bunch of different things. I don't think that means the entire market popped or topped. I think Solana has topped potentially. And due to that, I wouldn't invest into it. However, I would take 10 grand. And again, with that 20% rule, if we're choosing to be risky with this 10,000, which I myself in my situation would choose to do, I'd take 20% of that and put it into Bitcoin. So $2,000 into Bitcoin to at least have my hand in that and get used to a habit of putting money aside into Bitcoin, which is what I myself am doing to this day with any income. I'd then go ahead and look at the remaining $8,000, again, assuming we didn't pay for a membership, and I'd go ahead and actually put 20% more of that into Ethereum. Ethereum in this cycle, analysts are looking at a 2, 3, potentially even a 4x from Ethereum from these levels, meaning your $2,000 could then turn into anywhere from $4,000 to potentially $8,000. Now, again, that's not guaranteed. However, that is definitely a possibility, which could very much boost your portfolio. Now, with this remainder $6,000, what I would do, again, is more so in an aggressive mind state. Again, 10K in crypto, guys, to be completely honest with you, is not too much money. I would look towards, again, a strong meme coin to invest into, but I'd also be more careful with that because, again, for some people, 10K is a lot of money. And if it's your first time in crypto, you don't want to be over leveraging yourself either. So I would go ahead and look to maybe put 20% into a meme coin this time, meaning $2,000. Again, my choice would be Ski. Again, you can I'm not saying yours should be. I'm just saying mine is in this case. So I'd put $2,000 into ski. And again, look for 5-10x, meaning 10 grand to 20 grand from ski Mad Dog, meaning our portfolio is now approaching like $30,000. And then we have 40% of our portfolio left. This is where I will divvy into high narratives where they're utility coins. Anything really in the top 100 like Render, Aerodrome Finance would be up on that list, even though I don't know if it's in the top 100 yet. Realistically, any utility coin I deem to be good. In that case, for me, it's Render, Ondo, and Aerodrome. I would divvy that money up into those coins. So we can just say 4,000 into utility altcoins. So with this in mind, we have 4,000 into utility altcoins. We could then expect maybe anywhere from a 2 to 5x, which would give us another 8 to 20 grand from that alone. So with our 10K portfolio, we've now made it into around a $50,000 portfolio at the top of the cycle, which is of course great, assuming everything clicks. And that is specifically what we could do, just buying from prices now. If we could have bought prices a lot earlier, then this would of course be a lot higher. But now with $100,000, this is where I would heavily emphasize on a couple of things. First of all, I'd like a lot of our coins, specifically our Bitcoin, to be on a hard ledger. And if 100,000 is your entire portfolio into crypto, then I myself would recommend having a decent chunk of that into Bitcoin if you're looking for long-term wealth, because you can do a lot with $10,000, $50,000 in altcoins. You don't necessarily need any more than that. And so I would get a hard ledger, and I would myself put around 50 to maybe even 60% of my money onto Bitcoin, leaving maybe $50,000, $40,000 left to actually put into altcoins. But again, 50 to 60% I would put into Bitcoin, just to then make sure I have a nice allocation into Bitcoin that can last me a long time. With Bitcoin, we're holding for a very long time, because I myself see Bitcoin being a very good, sound money system. Therefore, I myself would hold Bitcoin for a very long time as a unit of exchange, a store of value, etc. But now we have that remaining 40 grand. So we're gonna assume that you have $40,000 left over, or let's say we put the remaining $10,000, assuming we put like 50,000 into Bitcoin and we wanted to put 60,000 into blue chip cryptos. Let's say we put 10K into Ethereum. Well, now we're left with 40 grand. Now the same thing is going to apply with this remaining 40%. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take 10 grand of that and put it into meme coins specifically. Now this $10,000 with Ski, we're gonna be looking to again get another 5-10x from there, so to potentially maybe even get back $100,000, which was our initial starting portfolio. Now again, with these riskier altcoins, if we lose that 40%, well, we're left with our Bitcoin amount of $60,000. And that is exactly why we're putting a decent percentage of this 100 grand into Bitcoin. Again, this is when you're dealing with an amount like this, and this is still not even that much within crypto, you want to be more protective of your wealth, especially if this is a decent amount of your overall net worth. You want to be more protective of it. But I would put 10K into Ski, again, have that riskier play, which is only 10% of our entire portfolio. Some people would recommend 1 to 5% being in meme coins. But again, when you're dealing with small amounts, you really, especially if you're younger, you can't afford to risk. Exactly where my mindset is being right now. All right, so now we're looking at $20,000 to $30,000 left over. I guess it would be 30 grand. And this is exactly where I put into blue chip altcoins. This is Aerodrome, Render, Ondo. And again, we're looking for 2-5x's from this. So anywhere from 60 to potentially 150 grand, meaning our $100,000 portfolio could go up to, in this event, $400,000, with us even playing the safe card, putting 60K into Bitcoin. So that, guys, is my main thoughts on exactly what I would do with an $1,000, $10,000, and $100,000 portfolio. This literally is my own thoughts and opinions. Everyone's gonna have different viewpoints on what they would do with their portfolios. But again, I just thought it'd be fun to do a video on what I would do with it. So with that in mind, I hope you guys appreciated the video, and we'll try to give you guys more content like this, and I will of course, be posting 3 times a week. So if you guys are ready for that, subscribe, turn on your post notifications, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys later.